Welcome to Duke Champions.
Listen up. All you ever asked for is an opportunity. You got it today. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Yeah!
Come on with it, baby!
Yeah!
And an uncontrolled outpouring of hip young people.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, red, white, blue, feel the cold wind blow. Breaking down the tape in the combat zone. From Orchard Park to the end zone throne. This is Bill's talk, hard facts, backbone. Yeah. Alex Cullen with the sharp insight. Randall Cypher scheming chess moves all night. Alex Miley, big dumb animal roar. Smashing hot takes through the studio door. Stats get funky, narratives get thrown. Dude champions, media, Buffalo combat zone. Buffalo combat zone. Beat it, crowd chant, let's go Buffalo. Beat it, crowd chant, let's go Buffalo.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Duke Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Duke Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Duke Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
Welcome back to the Buffalo Combat Zone. You have the law offices of Alex and Alex today. No Randall showing up. We're going to go over some top 10 wide receiver rankings today, and then a mock draft at the end. We're going to do ranking segments every single week from here on out, with just positions of value that the Bills could be targeting. So like edge, defensive tackle, guard, wide receiver, linebacker, stuff like that. We're not going to focus on quarterbacks or anything of that nature, but we're going to start off today with wide receiver, since it's probably the most popular one that people talk about. And please like, share, subscribe. What's up, Miley?
Not much. I mean, just a normal Monday. My Gators lost yesterday in heartbreaking fashion on March Madness, which was kind of upsetting, but
yeah,
kind of ruined my brackets, cost me a little bit of money, but not too bad. It's still pretty interesting though.
Put me in first place in our bracket for the champions.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm never in first place. I'm shocked. I'm in like my work bracket's like 160 people. I'm like 12th place in that. And I've already lost a final. I lost Vanderbilt, who was my Final Four recipient. But that bracket's so busted that doesn't really matter as long as Houston loses.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
If everything else happens in my way. So if Arizona plays Duke at the end, I'm pretty much guaranteed. And Iowa State, I have them in the Final Four too. So if they somehow beat Michigan.
I did make one because you were out of like two in the do. I did make one with Duke as my winner because I kind of hedged my bet. I'm like, Florida's my favorite team. I'm going to put money on them to win.
Sure.
But like,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to go all in. So like if they lose early, like they did, I'm not screwed. So I do have one with Duke where, my Final Four was Iowa State, Duke, Arizona, and Florida. So I could still, like, if Duke Arizona championship, Duke wins, I could still hopefully get my way into top 3. Because that one's like doing decent. It's top 10 in the group right now. So, and it's like, I think it's like 3rd or 4th for people who have Duke winning. Because that's really what matters. If you get the champion right, you're kind of just battling everyone out. So you pick the same champion with.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I see it too. Like I see other guys picking Arizona, and I'm like, okay, how different is their bracket? Iowa State's the one that I can differentiate myself, but not to get too far into the weeds in basketball. But one thing I did notice is like Florida and Michigan and Duke and Arizona, these teams, they're like so much. Like I was looking at Iowa State's matchup versus Michigan, and I'm like, how are they going to compete with their inside game with their front line 7'3", 6'11", or 6'10", 6'9", and they've got a good front line too, but they don't have a 7'3" guy in the middle, that gives 13 points a game. So it's interesting to kind of see how the dynamics of college have changed. Every other team is very similar, and then you've got these like 5 big dogs that have like they look like they're playing varsity.
Yeah, that's basically like how it's happened. Is just these top schools are like, yeah, we're just going to invest heavily and just have dominant front courts and just dominate lesser talented schools with that. Because that's kind of where something like guard play, it's kind of fluky. If you can shoot, you can shoot. Like if you get hot, it's like that's where it's like the upsets, the mid majors happen because if guards get cold. In the front court, it's more like you can just kind of dominate. It's much harder to upset a dominant front court team. I mean, obviously, it did just happen with Florida, but that was also to a Big Ten school. It's not like they were losing to some mid-major out of the SWAC or something like that.
You didn't lose to VCU. They ran into that against Illinois, and they were just too big and too strong. And you could tell after they went cold, they just kind of lost it. So I'm in VCU. Too, so, so what we're going to do is we're going to line up our 3 different rankings of the top 10, and then we're going to go into 5 other receivers that we don't have in the top 10 that are good fits for Buffalo based on our own opinion. And we're going to kind of debate it out on why we think X, Y, or Z about these players. We're pretty close, but there's some definite discrepancies between our rankings, I think.
Definitely one big one.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and add it up. Hold on. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of our, there we go. So you can see both of us. All right, good deal. So I had a cool phasing technique there that it won't let me do. So I had to upload it normally here. All right, so let's go into Randall's first. And let's just kind of, any qualms you or I have with his ranking. We got Randall, we got Miley, we got me at the end there. Carnell Tate first, Casey Concepcion 2, Jordan Tyson 3, Mekhi Lemon 4, Brazel 5, Cooper 6, Denzel Boston 7, Bell 8, Elijah Surratt 9, and Jeremy Bernard 10. What would you do differently here?
I obviously I know he's just a huge KC guy. That's his guy. But having him over Jordan Tyson, I think is kind of crazy. Unless it's really truly just the medicals is that much. But I have Tyson at 2, but Tyson I think is the best wide receiver in the class
by far. Yeah.
Drop him just to below Tate because I think there's definitely a drop off after those 2. I think having Casey over Tyson because I love Casey, but I just think Tyson, even with the medicals, I'd have him over Casey because if he clears those medicals, you could get a bona fide wide receiver 1 like a Garrett Wilson type guy. I don't think top 3. I don't think I'll get Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, but you get a guy. As Randall has commented, injuries are the issues. All right, that's fair. I guess the only another injury guy is Chris Bell. I think that since the medical teams have cleared his knee and it looks like it was just a clean tear, with how young he is and with how much medicals have advanced, I think having Chris Bell that low, even off the torn ACL, I just personally don't, because he was a top 5 wide receiver for most people before he tore it. The fact that I think he's coming back pretty full strength and clean from it. Yeah, he's may not play in September, but you're not drafting players for how they are year 1 of September, or even really year 1 in general. It's kind of their whole rookie contract and so forth. And I think Bell is going to be a stud, and I think that the injury shouldn't scare people off. I'm hoping it does, so we can get good value out of him if we want to draft him. But
yeah, I agree. Chris Bell, just to caveat that, Chris Bell to me, if he wasn't hurt, would be wide receiver 2 for me after Jordan Tyson. If there's no injuries, throw all the injuries out, right?
All right. I would not go that far, but
I think it'd be close to me. I like Carnell Tate a lot, but I do think that Jordan Tyson, if he's not injured, is clearly the best one. I still have him as first, as you can see here. And secondly, I just think Chris Bell is good as an athlete, can do more things in the football field than Carnell Tate will be able to do late down into his career. I don't know if he's AJ Brown per se, but he has some reminiscence of AJ Brown at Ole Miss. The other piece is I think he's a better athlete than AJ Brown. So I feel like the upside is so much there. I feel like he's already rising boards and he's hurt. You know what I mean? Normal guys who tear their ACL, clean or not, they're out of off of a lot of people's boards. I don't think that's happening with him. So I think that we're probably at a phase with him where we're going to find out and hopefully can come back by the first of the year. I still have questions about that. I think that's a little bit a little bit, aggressive with a comeback. But I mean, whatever, is November. That would be 10 months, right? That means he's almost 100% now to start getting his quads and everything else kind of ramp back up to be able to compensate, because he's definitely has probably some atrophy there. Casey Concepcion, I like him a lot. The other thing with Concepcion is that he also has an injury concern with the knee. Not saying it's as serious, because it's probably a meniscus cleanup, but I do have concerns about that. That's something that's thrown into it. And then the hands issues or the drops. He probably has the most significant drops issues, questions that the most of the top guys have. That is concerning for me, just because he's a smaller player, and in the NFL, he's going to deal with a lot more traffic. And if it's a concentration issue in college, because it's not a technique issue, it's not like a Gabe Davis issue. It's definitely like a concentration thing. It can be fixed, but if he's getting rattled at the catch point in college in some ways, or getting shaky with it, how's he going to feel when he's lined up and, Taylor Rapp's coming to hit him? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Taylor Rapp, but you know what I mean? And I kind of feel that way too. I always thought DJ Moore is kind of a AJ Brown light in a lot of ways too, as well. Like that's kind of his, they do it all receivers kind of thing. Ryan says Tyson's number 1, injuries aside, Tate number 2, Casey 3, Lemon 4. We'll talk about Lemon in a second.
I can fair. Yeah. Lemon is probably going to be our biggest discrepancy.
That's going to be a big discrepancy. I don't mind him being, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
The DJ Moore thing. I love to have 2 DJ Moores on this team. Give me 5 DJ Moores, if we're being honest. If I was making a wide receiver room, I don't even know if I'd have a big body guy.
No, I never
when you
would.
have a quarterback like Josh Allen, maybe if you have like an Aaron Rodgers, I'll take the big body guy. Quarterback like Josh Allen, he's such a playmaker and so good in the red zone.
Yeah.
I just want players who can get open. And we kind of already have good red zone threats in our tight ends with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. They're both very good in the red zone. We don't need no high pointing wide receiver. We need people who can get open on the scramble drills, or Josh can just run it in. So I had, especially with a quarterback like Josh, because he isn't like pinpoint accurate on those like touch throws. I feel like that's probably one of his biggest weaknesses of his game is he's not hitting these like perfect back shoulder Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams type throws. That's just not the type of player he is.
When he hits them, they look great. He's got great looking ball placement.
One against the Chiefs in the regular season last year with Amari Cooper. Like he can hit them, but it's very inconsistent and inefficient when he does it. So I would rather just have no guys that even offer it, so he's not even tempted.
And
I mean, again, on the 3rd and 15s, whatever, that's a low percentage throw anyways. That's fine, but I feel like he tries to push it too much.
And honestly, like part of it is there's 2 different problems with it, right? The throws, those types of throws are not easy to make anyway. They're the hardest throws in football in terms of completion percentage. They're low percentage throws. That's why I don't care if they're on the team at all. And then the other piece is with the player, like you have to have a player that's good at it, right? And we just don't have guys that are really good at it either. And that's fine. I honestly don't care to have them on the team. I think we should just phase it out. I guess you have to have to mix things up, but I really don't care. If you can separate, do those.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing here, like, and I guess I don't have that much of a problem with it, but like Jeremy Bernard, I know he ran better he tested better than his tape looks speed wise. I'm really just not there with it. I don't know why. I know he's going to be Mr. Consistent, things like that. I think the athleticism doesn't pop on tape like it did at the combine with him running sub 4.5. I think he runs like a 4.6 on the field is what it feels like. Good player. I wouldn't put him in my top 10. I mean, I know that this is not a Bills specific top 10. This is our top 10. So maybe that would change for Randall. If that's the case, I just wouldn't have him there.
Yeah, I'm not super high in Bernard. I mean, the combine turned me around a bit, but like especially in Buffalo, like he's just not a good fit here. Like I probably moved him up a little bit on my thought process. Maybe instead of like a day 3, more of like a late 3rd round, because he showed he has a little more athleticism. He's not a good fit in Buffalo. But again, these lists aren't Buffalo based. I'd probably have my top 15, but I wouldn't have he's not my top 10.
And then Ryan said Bernard's an exact replica of Tyler Boyd. I can see some of that in him.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, he's that
Maybe
kind
a
of
bit
player.
more
He's
athleticism, honestly, because Tyler
maybe
Boyd
a little.
wasn't like he was like a 4.6. I mean, I'm not super up
Sure.
to date. It's 40 time, but like he was never had a whole lot of speed. It just he got open and also helped send us to the playoffs. So I will forever love him.
Yeah, me too. And one more. Get to the first down, make it marker. Okay, cool. All right, so. See, I don't think he's like a Cole Beasley. I just think Bernard is like he's definitely not a slot only player. I mean, he can do the Z stuff. He's like a move receiver. He can move them all over the field. But I don't know necessarily that would be just where he would be.
I wish we did have a Cole Beasley still.
Yeah, I'd like to have a guy just uncovers quick.
Cole Beasley is like the perfect player for Josh Allen because it's like third down, Josh needs to play make, he's open. And you could, I mean, not really, but you could make an argument that Cole Beasley had almost as much of an impact on our passing attack as Stephon Diggs did. Diggs was better, and Diggs but Cole Beasley's impact was extremely undersold because it kind of calmed Josh down a lot. And he's going through these scrambles. It's like, all right, Cole Beasley's probably open 5 to 10 yards down the field. I need 5 to 10 yards. All right, I'll just throw it to him. He'll catch it every time.
And think if we had the running game back then like we do now, I mean, that's the kind of key for me is like we're much more of a stay ahead of the sticks team now than we were back then. Think about if like we had a lot of third and manageables like we do now back then, where like most of our third downs like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Like we would never not convert or like 90% of the time versus now it's like, we don't have a guy like that and it does show up on tape.
And that's why I'm very excited for this year because while I think our rushing attack it'll take a hit some. I don't think James Cook's going to be the rushing leader. Losing Edwards, Gilliam, and Cromer will hurt some. I'm not going to. I just think it's a little overstated, but I think our passing attack now is not going to be god awful. And I think that's going to overtake it. I think we're going to actually be able to run the ball well. And then on those third and manageables, we now have players that can actually get open and do those things.
We can still find a fullback that can do a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
We can still like the left guard position. It's important, but we don't know how good Alec Anderson is going to be. I mean, we're going to talk. I have a last slide about free agent targets, and one of them was on there that had a visit today. So, and he's a good player. I just think that we can probably mitigate this problem and be just as effective a rushing team if he doesn't lead the league in rushing.
Yeah, I think we're still going to easily be a top 10 rushing team, probably decent chance top 5. Sure. But I don't think like games last year, like against the Panthers and the Steelers, where it was like we're just going to run the same play over and over again. You're not going to. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I don't think we're going to. We're just going to run duo every play or toss every play, and it's just going to work because we're just that much better. I don't think we're going to have games like that, but I don't think we're going to need to have games like that because we have a receiver now, and hopefully a healthy tight end.
Maybe, and hopefully another one too.
And the way we've been looking at it, we're a lot more aggressive towards receivers this year than last year.
I still think receiver and edge, or maybe linebacker, are going to be the only. It's really between those 3 positions for 26, unless we move back, and then it's still between those 3 positions. In my opinion, it's going to be linebacker, linebacker,
early
receiver.
Second. All right, yeah, that's fair. Because I think 3rd or 4th round is where they were going to probably look safety.
And safety.
Or D-line.
So, in the guard, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into yours real quick. We just kind of broke down Randall's. Tell me kind of your rationale on each, because you can kind of talk through yours, and then you can just explain to me why the player you have in that spot is why you have them there and why they're ranked ahead of whoever else.
So Tate over Tyson is basically just injury. I think Tate is good. I think Tate and Tyson are close enough where the medical red. I'm not someone who usually buys into it, but the fact that he's still recovering from a hamstring injury he had in November, that's not and he's had a lot of other issues. It's not a very good sign, but he's still, I think he is easily the most talented, but I think Tate's good enough where like the injury is enough for him to jump. But like, I think they're clear 1 and 2. And then with the Lemon, I know you don't like him at all. You see him as only a slot guy. And I mean, I kind of also, but I kind of, he's a scheme dependent player. But if you put him in the right scheme, I think he can be more productive than basically any other wide receiver in this list. And that's where it's like, I kind of look at players if they're in the right schemes, because usually players get drafted for specific schemes. How well can they do in that scheme? How productive will they be? And Yeah, I guess if I'm starting from scratch and I have no wide receivers or anything, yeah, I might take some of these guys who can win on the outside. But that's not how teams are. There's someone who takes Lemon is going to have a hole at slot receiver. If they don't,
Sure.
yeah, like us, I wouldn't probably want to take Lemon. Maybe I'd take him over like Boston or Antonio Williams or Brazel or something, but I wouldn't take him over like Casey or Chris Bell. But
Yeah.
I think that a team that needs a slot guy and can utilize that, I think he has higher upside to flourish in that system.
Mhm.
And that's why I have him that high, because I just think he just wins. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got the numbers behind him, and I think that he is just a dog. I get that he's got his issues, the athleticism, not being able to win on the outside too much. When he went against Kenny Moore from or Leonard Moore, my bad, or whatever, I blanking on his name, from Notre Dame, he kind of got shut down. But I just think that like that's a one-time thing, and he's just so good this year. And he's one of those. He's fearless over the middle of the field. He's not scared to get hit. He'll come down with the ball, and I think that's very underrated, because being able to hit throws in the middle of the field and take on hits is very efficient for a passing attack. If you can have a wide receiver you can trust to come down with it, quarterbacks can target the middle of the field. I think someone kind of compared throwing to the middle of the field as like a three-pointer in basketball. If you can make those consistently, it really takes your offense to the next level.
Sure.
And that's why I really like Lemon.
So
KC,
I was gonna say, let's talk about him real quick since you're on it, right? Just because I think it's a good vibe. So I actually kind of agree with all the things you're saying. So when I look at receiver boards or any position, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of like, what's the upside? What the player did well in college, right? And how they won. And is that skill set translatable to the NFL? And if it isn't, how much of it translates, right? So to me, it's like, I look at a guy like Lemon, and I say a guy who's got strong hands. He wins at the catch point a lot. Good yak, right? But at his size, I do wonder how that translates to the NFL. And I think the upside is limited. I see his upside. I see people are saying Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't see that. I see more of like maybe a Hines Ward upside, which is really good, right? I think that's his style of player, just like a dog. The problem is that the dog either translates to the NFL or it doesn't. It doesn't mean he is going to be that way, even though he was that way in college. And I do wonder with his lack of size, he ran 4.53 as pro day. That to me is like more like 4.6 because it's a pro day. The speed concerns, the stuff like that. Like, I just wonder if the separation is still going to be real, if the catch point strength is still going to be real. So you see he's on my list at 8. He's still a top 10 player for me. I think there's a fairly good chance he's going to be a successful player in the NFL. I just think the 7 guys ahead of him, if they even get close to their upside, are going to be much more valuable. And I don't see Mekhi Lemon as a JSN level player. I think they're very different. I don't know why people like JSN didn't win the same way in college as Mekhi Lemon.
Yeah, no, I've never saw the JSN.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I kind of see almost like Puka a little bit, but a little smaller.
But smaller.
He kind of
a lot smaller.
He wins in the slot, but he's kind of he can run routes, but he doesn't win from his elite route running. He wins because he's strong, and through the catch point paired with his route running, he gets open enough, and then he's fearless taking on contact through catches.
Yes.
And he's got strength that way. It's kind of how I saw him, as kind of like a Puka light.
I agree with that. Like, he's a Puka like super light, right? Because he's only 5'10" and a half, 190 versus Puka's like 215 or 220. I think he's close to 220. I don't know. And he's 6'3", right? So that's a big difference in the way he wins. Like, Puka can translate that because he is big enough to do it. I just wonder a player that size trying to win that way, if I can warrant a first round pick for him. Although he's much more of a sure bet than I would say, Chris Bell, Denzel Boston, not Concepcion probably to me, because Concepcion wins in a very clear way that I think is translatable with his athleticism. But I'd say maybe more than Chris Brazel, but I think Chris Brazel has better upside combined with how he wins that I think it can translate. And I think you take stabs at players like that. So I'm not so down on, like, I am a hater, but I'm also not like, I'm not stupid enough to think he's not in the top 10, right? Yeah. Top 8, right? I mean, that's kind of how I view it. But anyway,
I also think he's a little bit safer than some of these guys.
That's what I mean. Actually,
like Brazel, if he hits his potential because he's an X guy, probably be But I
Oh,
also
yeah.
think there's a much higher chance Brazel just becomes your everyday average wide receiver 4 or 5, where I think Lemon at his floor is like a 700, 800 yard slot receiver.
I think he's pretty much guaranteed to be over a 500-yard receiver. And I think his ceiling's pushing 1,000. And, maybe he gets over 1,000 here and there kind of thing. I just wonder if he can win enough in the role he has to continue to hit 1,000-yard seasons. Like, I think JSN can actually do this. And JSN was like this in college when he played, because he had some issues too. His last year. He didn't play that many games. But I mean, he was as a freshman and sophomore, was a dog. Like he was racking up. I mean, he broke some kind of, I forget the receiving record he broke, was like 300 plus yards, those are just like elite type of things. And he's an elite route runner. Like he's not a great athlete either, JSN, but he is just such a good, clean route runner. His short shuttle and his 3-cone were elite. And that translates to his route running. I think that's a good measure. And that's a lot of the reason we'll talk about Denzel Boston later. That's a lot of the reason I keep wavering on Denzel, having, higher than, maybe I'm higher on him than some. Maybe I'm right. And actually we're all right on par with Denzel Boston, actually.
Yeah.
But I maybe have higher hopes for him than maybe other people do. But go ahead. Sorry, keep going on your list.
Yeah.
I think we're at Chris Bell or Conception.
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, Casey is pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about him so much on this pod, especially because of Randall. It's Randall's guy. But I do like Conception wins everywhere. Great after the catch. He's electric. Like, really the only holes in his game are, I guess, the medical red flags, size maybe a small bit, and then concentration drops, but nothing.
Sure.
He just doesn't really have.
If he didn't have any hands issues, how high would you have him?
I'd probably.
Did you move him up or no?
I'm really high on Lemon. I'd move him ahead of Lemon. I don't think I could put him ahead of Tate or Tyson. Just because I don't think he's good enough on the outside as those two. But maybe I'd put him ahead of Lemon if he didn't have those issues. But I think because of those issues, his floor is a little bit lower.
Yep.
And I kind of do value floor in the first round. Yeah, you want game changers, but I think getting I think the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to like the floor, like to get a quality starter. Like, you just don't want to swing and miss in your first round pick, because what you want to do is get as many productive players on rookie contracts, and then you can afford big money elsewhere. Yeah, if you can get a game changer, that's awesome. I would rather have 5 quality starters than 2 or 3 game changers and the other guy's bust.
Sure.
Just because now you have those 5 quality starters on rookie contracts, and now I can afford to go and take a big swing.
Right.
And so floor matters to me, I think, a little. He could be this guy. Yeah, but he could also be this. And I've never been a big fan of those like real high boomer bust in the first round. I think your boomer bust guys is where you take them round 3, round 4, because if they bust, it's like whatever. I spent pick 80 on him. I spent pick 100 on him. Sure. And Chris Bell, I mean, the injury doesn't really scare me off now that the doctors have kind of cleared him and they're like, yeah, he's good. It was a clean tear. He's young. He'll recover. Omar Cooper Jr., I had him ahead of Bell until the medicals came back positive. I think he's pretty good. I mean, I think there's kind of a tier where it's like, I think Tate and Tyson are like their own tier. Then I put like Lemon through Cooper Jr. These are kind of like guys I take first round.
Sure.
And then the next tier I take second round, kind of 2, starting to sneak into the top of the third. With Brazel, I mean, I think he's a boomer bust guy, but he can win on the outside. And I know Tennessee's kind of had these guys every year. These big flashy X receivers, and they kind of they're not really good in the league. But I don't think he's like Dante Thornton, who everyone's like, he's Megatron. Yeah, but he was drafted in the 5th round because he sucks. If he was any good at football, he would have been a first-round pick. I have a friend that's a Raiders fan, and he kept telling, but the size. I'm like, yeah, he was drafted. The fact that he was drafted in the 5th round with that size shows he just sucks. Because if you have those measurables and that athleticism, and you're not a round 1 guy, you're most likely just not good.
Yeah. We're super raw. I think Thornton was raw.
Yeah,
I love to take a stab on him late just because it's something we need. But he definitely he has not looked good since being there.
I think Brazel is a lot more refined as a route runner. Yep. And I think that's kind of the difference between the two. I think he's more technically sound. He's got a much better release. And I really like him. And then Boston, I feel like everyone's either like, oh, this dude's going to be a stud. He's next T. Higgins.
Or he's Matt
everyone's
Collins.
like, yeah, or he's Matt Collins. He's Keon Coleman.
So
and I
dumb.
think they're both not true. I don't think he's a good enough route runner to be T. Higgins. T. Higgins is underrated route runner for
I
sure.
don't think they're that similar, him and T. Higgins.
Yeah. Me neither. I think Boston's a bit more athletic, but T. Higgins is a better route runner and also kind of just a little bit of an outlier with just his ability. Like those jump ball guys just don't work out that well, but he's that good, and he's also playing with Joe Burrow, probably the best pure pocket passer in the league. It's kind of a match made in heaven there.
Sure.
But I don't think he's Keon Coleman because like he's much more athletic than Keon Coleman. He's a better route runner than Keon Coleman. He's got stronger hands. So it's like, whereas Keon, it was like, I want anyone but Keon Coleman or Xavier Worthy in 2024. Those are like the two do not draft under any circumstances. And I was pissed when we took Keon. Lemon, I'm like, if we take him at 26, or not Lemon, if we take Boston at 26, I'd be upset. We take him at the beginning 46. Of the third, end of the second. We take him pick 50 later. Yeah. All right, I think that's pretty decent value. Sure. Pick 40, anything higher than that, I'd probably be annoyed. But mid to late second round, I'm like, okay, I can live with this. Third round, all right, that's really good value.
And Randall says you would draft a less explosive, lower vert T. Higgins. I mean, I guess the vert is such a weird. I mean, he did jump 37 inches at his pro day, by the way, not 35 at the combine, right? So invert is translatable to pro days because it's just a simple measurement. It's not time, right? That's just as explosive vertical as T. Higgins had. Higgins, I think, was like 35 as well. I don't think he was anything higher than that. And I would argue that Boston's tape is definitely faster and more explosive, at least, than T. Higgins. It's not as refined as a player as T. Higgins was in college, but definitely a more versatile athlete. Like after the catch and things like that, Boston's way better than T. Higgins ever was in college. And probably now. I mean, Higgins isn't really a yak guy now. I mean, he gets loose sometimes, but I don't know. He's got another one. Has a better step off the line. That's true. That's true. His release is better, but he's a more refined player. I mean, I think even coming out, his release was better for sure. I don't think Boston lacks in release package, though. I mean, Boston's release package for who he like for where he comes from with that type of offense is fine to me. I think it can be learned, and his agility numbers were like his agility on the 3-cone was 6'8", I think, which is a sub 7, which is kind of your tier where you want to be at. And even at 6'8", like the average person in the combine, like not just talking about his size, is like a 6'9". So 6'8" is really good for his size profile, which could translate to him being a good route runner. And he is not an awful route runner, by the way. I mean, he's not perfect or anything like that, but it's not like he's Keon Coleman out there either.
Yeah.
Okay, getting to Antonio Williams. It's a player I like, but I'm just not sure about him.
See, I kind of don't really put too much in the stock into 2025 Clemson because that was just a complete fall off. Like Clemson's team just completely fell off everywhere. Yeah. Like quarterback play was pretty bad because Klubnik kind of fell off. He was really good in 2024 and then kind of regressed, and the team just fell apart after the first couple weeks. And Williams just wasn't able to get right. I was battling some injuries, but I think towards the end of the year he started to turn it back on, got healthier, and I think he's not a great fit in Buffalo, but I think he's very explosive and great after the catch, and I think he can win in the short to intermediate. Mm-hmm. And I think that, again, he was a projected first-round pick going into the season, and just a lot of things went wrong. And I think that he could still be he'd be a high-end gadget player, decent slot guy, get you like 700-800 yards a year. And I think that's for a wide receiver class that lacks top-end talent. We're not getting no Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. Getting a guy in the third round that you can count on to get you like 700-800 yards and make some high-level explosive plays, I think pretty valuable. I think it's something you, especially in a weaker class overall, something you'd want to get in the end of the second, early third round.
Yep. I think Antonio Williams kind of reminds me of Tyler Boyd, like we talked about earlier, right?
A little more explosive.
A little more explosive for sure, but kind of plays in that same kind of area of the field. Like he's a slot receiver, but he's kind of not a slot receiver too. Like he does other things. It's not like your typical Cole Beasley slot as much as he is kind of a move around receiver. I like him if you like Jeremy Bernard, I think Antonio Williams is the plus athlete version of Jeremy Bernard in a lot of ways, in my opinion. The one I see on tape. All right, and then last is a lot of people's favorites, Ted Hurst.
Yeah, I think Ted Hurst is one of those boomer bust guys. I think the bust potential comes from the fact that he was playing at a mid-major. He was playing at Georgia State. I think that it's like, yeah, he put up great numbers, but the competition was weak. But he's kind of got everything you want out of the next receiver. He's got a really good release. He's very fast, can go up and get it, decent route runner. It's just how much stock do you want to put into the fact that he was doing it at Georgia State against not even close to NFL level talent. Though his saving graces, though, is he lit it up at the Senior Bowl when he was playing better competition, and he showed his athleticism pretty well. So I think he's going to turn into a pretty decent guy, but the fact that he's coming from Georgia State, I can't put him any higher than 10. If he was doing what he did at Alabama or something, he'd probably be like wide receiver like 5 for me. But
he might be even better than that if he's
exactly. Like he was pretty dominant at Georgia State.
Yeah,
he would be a first-round guy if he was doing this at Ohio State or Alabama.
Some people like him. He could be a high second-round pick.
He could, but I wouldn't take him at high second. But if we say we traded back and picked up pick 65, I'd take him at pick 65.
I just realized when I was sharing Randall stuff, I was calling him Ryan. I keep seeing the R and thinking it's Ryan. So
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I was calling him Ryan. Sorry, Randall. All right. So, all right, here's mine. Jordan Tyson, I think he is the clear-cut best receiver in this draft. I know he's got the injuries. One was a clavicle. That's not a big deal to me at all. The ACL was over it's been 2 years now plus. I'm fine with that as well. He's had a year off of it. The quad or the hammy situation bothers me a little bit, soft tissue, and I wonder if it's compensating for the way he's running now because he's concerned about the knee potentially. That could be a problem, and it could cause future issues with people that get ACLs or Achilles, things like that are major leg injuries. People often tend to pivot and run or put more pressure in certain parts of their body when they run. They shouldn't. It's like somebody has a weak core, they'll get hip flexors a lot. So you're kind of, what I mean? That compensation bothers me a little bit, but he's so good. I know that there's some weird comps out there with him. I do see a lot of Justin Jefferson in his game. I'm not saying he's Justin Jefferson by any means. I just see a lot of the same type of style, and Jefferson was like this in college as well. We didn't think he'd be Justin Jefferson, right? We thought he'd just be a good, solid first-round pick. I feel like his tape is very mimicking of that. The route running is real. Hands are good speed, good after I think he's just a really complete wide receiver, a true top 15 player if he's healthy. Carnell Tate, do you want to say something?
No, I was just saying, I completely agree.
Carnell Tate, I think, is the safest receiver in this draft, probably. I just think he's going to be successful. I don't know how high his ceiling is going to be at the end of the day, but he's just he just knows how to get open. His routes are clean. He gets down the field. I think he runs faster than his 40 time. I thought he looked faster when he ran his 40. I felt like they cut the clock late, like it felt that. I know I'm making excuses, but it felt that way when I was watching it. He ran 4.53. I think he feels like a mid 4.44 to low 4.4 guy on the field. That's really what matters. I don't see a slow player like we do with Keon Coleman on the field. So I think that's real. Like Devontae Adams this way, he runs a slow 40, but he on the field is fast, Omar Cooper Jr., I'm a big believer. I think that the way he plays the game, he finds spots in the zone really well. He's great after the catch. His target, I saw this yesterday. I was on the Draft Professor podcast, and I was talking to Jim about it. I honestly think he's like Debo, but he gets his yards after the catch further downfield. Like he's averaging I think it was 6 or 7 yards after the catch, but he's catching passes at a target. His target rate's his average catch depth is 10 yards. That's really far downfield for a guy who gets another 6 or 7 after that, right? Versus a Khalil Shakir or Debo, everything's behind the line. and then they take it upfield and they're good at it, but it's not the same type of thing where I feel like Omar is actually running routes. I don't think he's the best route runner in the world, but I think it's a safe, his athleticism checked out from what we saw on tape. And I think he's just a safe bet. He's got strong hands. I think he's great after the catch. I think he can play. I don't know if he's an X, but he can definitely play. There it is. Randall gave it right there. And it's a great stat, but let's go back to the stat. Okay, 8.5 yards per reception. So it's a yard and a half further than I said on balls thrown from 10 to 19 yards. That means he's catching the ball 10 plus yards downfield and turning upfield and getting another 8 a lot of times, right? That's impressive. He's just a very good, safe, strong player. I like that he competed at the combine completely. Didn't show it like he did. He was up for the competition. I just think that that's something that you want out of your receiver. Want to be a dog. He's maybe my favorite receiver in this draft just because I love the way he plays. And I think what he does works in the NFL. And that's why I think that he's third for me. Brazel's the reverse. Brazel is probably the most boomer bust in my top 10, maybe no, my top 7 or 8. But his upside, his release package is really good. I like the way he runs routes. He doesn't create quite as much separation as his 4.37 might indicate. But he gets plenty of speed downfield, plenty of separation downfield. He's not like somebody was comparing the other day, like a Randy Moss light. He's not quite that either, I don't think. But he's definitely different than the Tennessee receivers of the past because they don't run the same schemes anymore where they had receivers stacked behind other receivers to give them free releases. That wasn't much of a thing in Tennessee as it was in the past. And he actually explained that on the podium. Chris Bell, same things as you, man. I just think that he would probably be wide receiver 2 or 3 for me right now if he was 100% healthy. He's the best overall athlete. He's 226. What was he? 6'1" or 6'2"? How tall is he?
I'm not sure the exact height.
He's over 6 foot. 4.4 40 guy. Great after the catch. I think his routes are better than people give him credit for.
6'2".
6'2". Like he's a big guy. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, he's every bit of kind of an AJ Brown size player, right? And I just like his game. I think that also, like Omar Cooper, works in the NFL now. If he's healthy, the scary part is like, when will he be ready? If we get a first round pick, I really want him to play, right? I don't want to see a guy wait till November to play. Like, there's our first round pick, and then then the risk is still there. It's always in the back of your head when they've had the injury before that it could happen again.
Yeah, that's fair. I was looking up his numbers earlier. His yards per reception, pretty impressive. As a true freshman, granted, he only had 7 catches, but 15 yards of reception, 14 yards. And then his breakout year in 2024, 17.1 yards per reception is pretty impressive. This year was only 12.7, but he also had a lot more catches and targets. So
what's his total yards on all 3 of those years? Do you know?
So his sophomore year was 407, then it was 737, then 917. So he was
So he's not like a Xavier Legette breakout. Like, he's been building to this. It's not just all of a sudden like he has 180 yards and then has 1,000. He's not that easy. He would have easily had 1,000 this year.
Yeah, he had a decent break. Like, players who only have 1 year of production and it's like late, that scares me. That's a big red flag. And Chris Bell is not like that. So that's another reason why I really like him.
Sure. And then Denzel Boston for me, we talked about it. His agility at the combine was really good, and at his pro day, I think he did 20-yard shuttle at one, and then the 3-cone at the other, and he scored well on both. I think that his size is an advantage. I don't think he's actually slow, but I don't think he's a burner. He's really good after the catch. To me, he has a good knack for getting the ball and then getting upfield. I like that about him. I think his routes, if you had to measure 1 to 10, his routes are a 6. His release package is probably also a 6. So I think there's some refinement that needs work there. That's a 6 out of 10, by the way. I don't know what he's going to be in the NFL. That's why I feel like if he had given me like 2 straight years of like Roma Dunze numbers there, I would probably have him higher. But he really, he's not just he had a decent year 2 years ago. This year he was very good, but we're not talking about a 1,000-yard receiver here either, right? So there is some questions there. I think we're all equally high on him based on our rankings, but I may be higher on him as far as his potential in the future. And I would not actually be upset with him if we move back from 26 to 43 with somebody like, say, New Orleans. That's my target spot, and then pick up their third round pick in addition to that, because that would be the right amount of capital to come back, and maybe we even get something next year like a late round pick. I think that I would not be upset with him at pick 43. I would not want him at pick 26 because I think there are better options that were definitely going to be there. But at 43, I wouldn't be. If that was the receiver idea and then he was just like dead set on getting an X receiver, that would be fine. I don't think he's necessarily a pure X either, by the way. I think he's a Z receiver. I think he moves around a lot. They create space for him. I don't think they just line him up on the boundary and say, go get it. He's not T. Higgins in that way, right? Like T. Higgins can do that kind of thing from the X. He's not going to be that player, in my opinion. But I like him. What were you going to say?
Yeah. I was going to say, if we do draft Boston, Keon, count your days.
Oh, Keon's done if that happens, right? And I think that's the reason we won't do it, is because I think that they do. I don't think they want to trade him. I think they want to give Keon one more chance. And as a bottom end of if he ends up being the role that, Tyrell Shavers played last year until Tyrell Shavers comes back, and then gives him give him a little more flex to the outside than Shavers ever got. I think they want to bank on that in some respects, because they're going to want to validate their investment a little bit. So Bean can at least say, look, you guys need to be more patient with me. If it doesn't work, then he's a wide receiver 5 and who cares, But yeah, I think if Boston gets signed, I think you might as well just count him up. He'll probably get traded draft day if that happens.
Yeah.
Like for a 5th. I don't think he'll get any more than like a 5th round pick, probably. Maybe a 4th at best. And that's if we're being lucky, I think.
Maybe we give up like one of our 6th and get a 4th or something.
And a 4th back. Yeah, something like that. Like Keon and a 6th for a 4th. I think that's probably the best case scenario. And then Mekhi Lemon, we talked about it a little bit. I just worry about the translatable skills mainly more than anything else. As a college player, if you're like, hey, we're lining up a college team, and you're like, hey, who do you want on your team? I'd put Mekhi Lemon on my team for sure. But I just don't know. And I'd have him higher as a college player. But as a pro player, I just wonder if he can elevate, how much more ceiling there is to hit with him. Like I said, I don't see Amon Ra. Amon Ra is a bigger, more physical, more powerful player who's got much better. I think Amon Ra is a much better route runner. I think Amon Ra is much better at sustaining and hitting people, like when he takes on contact, like at the catch point. I think he can do those things because Amon Ra is 205 and 5'11", not 190 and 5'11", which is a massive difference in just overall girth. And so that's why I have him low. Ted Hurst, same as you, man. I have to have him in my top 10. He's my sleeper. I think his boom bust is there. Like he could be really freaking good, or he could end up just being, a guy who's out of the league in a year or two, or 3 or 4 years, whenever the rookie contract's up. I could see him fading away, or I could see him, people saying, man, that was the best pick of the draft because you got him in round 3. And then last, Skylar Bell. Skylar Bell's one of these guys I'm not sure if he'll translate either. He tested really well, which made me feel better about him. But his game speed, I don't see this low 4.4 speed with him. He also was heavier than I thought I didn't think he was going to be like a 6'1", 200-pound guy. Did you?
Maybe a little bit more, but I thought it was semi-close. I thought maybe like 5.
He's a good route runner. He's not what I would call explosive though. Like I think he's like Randall had a good comp, was like Khalil Shakir. I think he's a better route runner coming out than Shakir is, and more ability to play on the boundary than Shakir does. And he's also has more length than Shakir does, so that helps him out there. But overall, I think that it's that's his impact, his ceiling maybe is on that tier, but they're similarly athletic, Anything else on these? I know we kind of we didn't really run through it, but we went through it.
Yeah.
What are any other thoughts? Because I got the top 5 for outside the top 10 here next.
I think we're good. I think we've gone over everything pretty well.
All right, so let's hit it. All right, Bill specific wide receivers outside top 10. Okay, Randall, Ted Hurst, we just talked about him. Bryce Lance, love Bryce Lance. Antonio Williams, Malik Benson, Brennan Thompson. I know my list is a little bit different, but I love that list. I mean, only reason it's a little different is because I have Hurst in my top 10, and then I'm a little lower on Thompson than others. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I didn't rank him on how good I don't think
No.
I think Skylar
Yeah, this is
Bell-
random. This is random.
I don't think Skylar Bell and Elijah Surratt are better, or I don't think Brennan Thompson's a better wide receiver than Skylar Bell or Elijah Surratt. But I would rather have Brennan Thompson on the Bills if we're not going with an X receiver. Like we're not going early investment wide receiver. Yeah. I would rather get the speed guy with special teams upside in the 4th or 5th round. Because I just kind of think with like Bell and Surratt and Lance, you're just kind of getting a middling wide receiver 3 or 4. And it's like, we already have a couple of those. Let me, at least if I'm going to get a wide receiver 4, let me have him have 4.25 speed where we can take the top off the defense. Yeah. Is he not as good as a receiver? Probably not, but it's kind of more so just scheme at that point. That's how I feel with Benson and Thompson. Like if I was to do this based on how good they were, it'd probably be Bell, Surratt, Lance, Benson, Thompson. But this is, if we're not going wide receiver round 1, round 2, or even early round 3, it's like we're pick 91 and we haven't taken a wide receiver yet. I wouldn't take one at 91, and the 4th round I'd be lighting up the phone to get Benson or Thompson because that speed and the special teams upside I'd want. And I think early day 3 is the perfect time to get a chance on that. Yep. And then outside of those, then it's like, I really like Skylar Bell for other reasons you mentioned. I was a lot higher on Surratt like a month ago. You remember I talked about us getting him like round 2 and 3. I've kind of cooled off a lot. Just worried about how his game's going to translate. I think just kind of the way he won a lot in college was just, and like a lot of like back shoulder stuff and contested stuff. And I just don't know how well it's good at it. I just don't know how well it'll work with Josh. Yeah. And against better competition. So that worries me. Bryce Lance is kind of more so, it's like the Ted Hurst, like he was playing against FCS opponents. Yeah. Like, so that kind of puts me down. But he also, I mean, he's got so much North Dakota, and North Dakota State's produced some legit NFL talent. You just saw if he turns into Christian Watson, who was just the last receiver that comes out. Like, I'd sign up for that. Yeah. So like that's kind of my list. It's like I want the speed. If we're not going early investment, I want the speed demon special teams upside. If we're not going to go that, then these are probably the other 3 receivers I'd want.
Randall said they're moving conferences.
Yeah, they are. They're in the Mountain West this year.
Oh, really?
They're moving up to the Mountain West. Yeah.
JMU was in the FCS for their Virginia team. I'm from Virginia. JMU is FCS, and they moved up to the Sun Belt. They've been really successful as a Sun Belt team. So and they got to the tournament.
I feel like North Dakota State will do this. I think North Dakota State could next year be in the college football playoff.
Potentially in the Mountain West. I mean, they're going to run.
They absolutely run things. We've never really seen them against Power 5 schools because their Power 5 schools are legit scared to play them because they're the best FCS, the most dominant FCS school there was. That's not a good look if you're losing to an FCS school. But they were. How often do FCS schools legitimately year in and year out produce NFL talent? Just that.
Usually they go up. JMU and ODU, their Virginia teams, they both moved up immediately.
But it's every couple years. I feel like every year North Dakota State, we're talking about 1 or 2 players from usually every quarterback they produce becomes an NFL level quarterback. I mean, Trey Lance was pick 3, granted that fell off. Carson Wentz this year, Cole Payton. You usually get a wide receiver like Bryce Lance and Christian Watson. They produced some linemen, like Cody Mouch. Like they're usually every year there's at least 1 or 2 in North Dakota State. You don't see that out of the FCS. Right. And I think they well coached and they have a good football budget, so that I think they'll be able to semi-compete in the NIL era because like North Dakota State doesn't really have anything else, so they just pump their money into the football program. Yep. And I think they could legitimately be. And who knows? Maybe they work their way up, and who knows? Maybe in 5 years they're in the Big 12.
Sure, that's possible. For sure.
And I think that's probably their thought process is because if they're just going to stay a Group of 5 school, it's like, what's the point in moving up? Just not because you're not. But if their goal is we want to torch the Group of 5 and get our way into the Big 12 or a new Pac-12 or something like that, I think that's what they're going for. It would make a lot of sense because if they hit the Big 12, then their program could really, really take off.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think that and Bryce Lance is my number 1. I think that the speed's real. Needs some refinement on routes and things. His hands are pretty good. I think that he's like a Christian Watson. I think that he might be I think he might be faster. I don't know. It's hard to tell, like, because they're both so fast. And I think the hands are better than Christian Watson too. I think the upside of there is real as well, just like with Hurst. But the same conversation with Hurst that we had to have with Bryce Lance. And I've just seen more from Hurst when he went to the Senior Bowl. Hurst really played well, and that told me that he could compete with a higher level, or at least there's an option there. Versus Bryce Lance, I just don't know that answer yet. So that's why I'm there. Jacoby Lane, I really like Jacoby Lane. I think that he's a better athlete than people are giving credit for. I think he showed that at the combine. He's a good contested catch player. I know he's going to be compared to Keon some, but they're just so different in a lot of ways. I mean, he's way more of a fluid route runner and fluid athlete. He's not as clunky with his feet. He definitely runs much more fluidly. Like he feels like a receiver when he's out there. And I just think that he would be a good addition if we truly want somebody to be a contested catch player with high upside. I think his upside is going to be higher than a Surratt. Malik Benson, another player I love. I mean, he's rated really low on all these mock draft boards. I think he's going to go top. I think he's going to be in the 4th or 5th round pick. And I'd be okay if we missed on receiver for 3 rounds and we're in the round, or we're going into round 5 and we're like Malik Benson sitting there and they took him and we're like, that's fine. I think he'll be fine. He can return kicks. And he gives you some top. He can take the top off the defense. And then there you go. Yeah, Randall said it. 2 champions had it first. And then Deion Burks is another one that has not had a lot of production in college, which is a little concerning. But the things he can do on the field, I do think I kind of put him and Brennan Thompson together. But I just like the way Deion Burks moves a little bit better. I think Deion Burks is going to be able to sustain himself better. He's just a little bit bigger. And I just think that they can do a lot of the same things. He's also like a 4.3 flat guy, right? He's super fast. And then Deshaun Stribling is my last one. I don't love him, but he's an Ole Miss receiver, right? They pump out good receivers. And I also think he's got real speed. The route running's real stiff to me. That's my main concern with him, is like his routes just seem very robotic to me. And I just don't know if, like, I don't know if he turns into a faster Zay Jones, or if he ends up being like, because that's kind of how I felt about Zay Jones too when we got him, or if he can develop it and turn into more of a, a true deep threat kind of player in the NFL. So that's what I got on him. What are your thoughts? Have you done anything on Stribling at all? I just started looking into him recently.
Not a whole lot.
Faster Zay Jones, great comp. Yeah, thanks, Randall.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really gotten into it. I've kind of looked at like top end guys and a couple Bills guys I really like. I haven't gotten like super deep into like later day 3 guys like that.
Yeah.
So
he's
yeah,
probably in
much
the
work on him.
Same ballpark as Malik Benson and Deion Burks in terms of like draft position, in my opinion. I think Lane and Lance will go top. I think they'll go somewhere in the 3rd round. Maybe even 2nd round if somebody really falls in love with them, but I don't, there's no chance Benson, Burks, or Stribling goes in the top 3 rounds. They're not day 1 or day 2 players.
Benson, I've just done a lot of work because how much you guys were talking about. I'm like, I love this guy. And I'm like, I like the explosion and the special. Even I talked about it forever. I want a kick returner and a punt returner as one person who could also offer you something on the field and can be legitimate all-pro level. We haven't had a legit punt returner in so long. We finally had a good kick returner for once, and I think with getting Bass back and having a kicker that can make over 50-yard field goals, and our offense having the floor it does with Josh, it's very rare we go 3 and out. We usually get at least a first down or 2 every drive. Yep. You get a good punt returner, you get a kicker who can hit 55, 60-yard field goals.
Yep.
You're starting even when they're at the 4, like say we force a punt to the 35, he catches the 20, gets up to 30. Not too many first downs we have to get. And it's like to flip the field instead of the amount of times it's like, oh, we're starting at the 10, we're starting at the 20. Yeah. Now, we're starting at the 30, we're starting at the 40, 2 or 3 first downs, we're already in field goal range. And so the games where our offense is kind of really struggling, I think those can be cheap ways to in the first half, if we start out slow, and instead of getting 0 points, we can get a couple field goals, get to 6 points, and all right, now we have confidence to build off of. And instead of losing 17-0, we're losing 17-6, and it's like, all right, touchdown, a 2-point, another field goal, it's a tie game, and we can overcome that in the second half, like we have a lot. And that's why it was really high in Shaheed. I think And I think Benson can offer you something similar in the return game like that.
He's similar. And honestly, I think his 4.37 doesn't do him justice for his speed. I think his speed, like 40 yards is only a certain amount of distance. Guys like him who are like legit track runners, I mean, they keep building up speed, right? So like he's probably, even though he's a 4.37 guy, his speed, once he gets going even past that, like you're not catching him. Like he's going to be, like you might as well have a 4.2 something guy on your team. Like his speed looks faster on the field too. So he's the one of these guys that like remember Jalen Hyatt back in the, like he ran like a 4.40 and was slower than I thought, but his game speed was more real than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not he ends up being a bad player, but whatever. All right, so let's jump. I've got top available free agents to fill remaining needs. I just threw some players in here. You can add, your points here or whatever. But Austin Corbett did come in and I added him, by the way. He was not on my list before, so it wasn't like I knew he was on. Like he was not one of my targets. So I added him on here. But him and Kappa, Daniels, Becton. I think guard is really the only position that will probably address in free agency ahead of the draft on offense. And then defensively, and really what we're looking for is just competition for Alec Anderson at the end of the day. I think they're going to give him a legit chance to start, but I think their ideal scenario is not that, but it could be. It's just hard to say what they want to do at this point based on what they've done. Alec actually might be their ideal decision, I should say, but I think they want to push him some to see what comes out of it because he really hasn't been in a competition for left guard at all to this point because he's really great at what he does. And it was a valuable piece. And we had Edwards there for so long. There was almost like there was no ever a chance. So I'm excited to see him get an opportunity to put himself out there. Okay. I'm just making sure I didn't get an alert about Austin Corbett because the 49ers just signed Jones because they both got visits today or whatever.
Who did they sign?
Brandon Jones. Remember, he was a guard for the Dolphins. Yeah, I'd much rather have Corbett than him.
Yeah.
And then defensively, DJ Readers, everybody loves. Greg Gaines is another one that can play nose. Bobby Okereke, Jermaine Pratt at linebacker. And then I threw in Nick McLeod. He's available. He's familiar with us. And he's kind of cornered himself a nice little solid career in the NFL as an undrafted player. And I think he could be a good CB3. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. For offense, the guard I'm targeting the most would be Ryan Bates because he could be the new Alec Anderson that plays everything. Yep. And I think with Vandermark leaving, you're having Grable step into that swing tackle 3 spot like he was his rookie year. And we're not big fans of Lawton. We have no idea we have how to Clayton. You get someone like Bates, he could be that tackle 4. Like how Anderson, you had Vandermark was tackle 3. Anderson ended up being the 4th tackle. You can also maybe put him at center if you really don't like Van Pran Granger. Personally, I like Van Pran Granger. I'd rather have him be McGovern's backup. But again, if you're promoting Alec Anderson to the starting left guard, he should only be focusing on guard. If someone else goes down, Bates can be Bates will put in at right guard. Bates will put in at left guard. We'll put in at tackle. Put him at center. Like he's the new Anderson, and he's familiar with Buffalo because he was here for a couple of years. And I thought he was decent. Mm-hmm. I thought he was serviceable.
Absolutely.
It wasn't awful. So I think you get him pretty cheap. So that's probably what I would do. Would bring him on like a 1 year, $2 million, $3 million contract. Yep.
And then Tariq Woolen was already signed, by the way.
He signed the Eagles.
Yeah. Push A to the max. He's going to crush it. Yeah. I actually think it scares me just because we haven't seen it yet. Right. And we've had this solidified left guard for so long. It is a very important position. It is scary, but I have faith that he can do it. I think he's a dog, and I like with the times I've seen him on the field. I think he's looked really good. Okay. It's just an unknown thing, right?
Yeah. For me, the thing I'm worried about Edwards the most is his IQ and like the blitz protections and the pickups. I think that will hurt the most, but I don't think he'll affect as much in the run game. I think he's like a run blocking bulldozer. I think Anderson could be just as good, but I think the connection that Edwards had with like McGovern and Dion on blitz pickups and stuff. I think that could be a little bit scary. Maybe missing some guys, and Josh could hit a couple more times. That I'm a little bit worried about, but I'm not as worried about as much of the run game. And I mean, think about it. What we signed Edwards for was it a 1 year, $3 million or 2 year $6 million? Like
wasn't a big contract.
He was a not really known.
And he was kind of a late. Wasn't he a late?
Yeah.
pickup too for us in free agency? It wasn't like an immediate thing.
I don't think it was immediate, but I don't think it was like super late.
Yeah. If they get into an
and-
argument, he won't size up Alec Anderson. Actually, I think Alec, he's a big dude, but I think isn't Edwards and him pretty similar in size?
I am not
they look
sure.
like 305. Okay. Let's do a you want to do a mock draft?
Yeah. Oh, well, I just
Do it.
had one
Go for
more
it.
quick thing for the defense.
Yeah.
Shaq Thompson. I know you were trying to.
No, I'm good.
not
I'm fine
be-
with that.
but-
As
yeah,
long
I
as
know
he
you're.
gets
I
the
know
idea.
you were trying to put like a free agent guys that like it wouldn't be re-signs, like guys
Yeah.
that weren't. Yeah, but I think I commented a gif of his on the tweet I saw of yours earlier. I want Shaq Thompson back at all regards. I mean, I think he kind of fits that role. People want this like bigger body guy who can defend the run, which I personally hate that archetype of linebacker, like the Nick Bolton type. I found
Thompson's not small.
extremely overrated.
Yeah.
I think Shaq Thompson can be that. I think he's big enough to take on the block, but he also is good in coverage. I think if a linebacker can't defend the run and cover and pass, I want nothing to do with him. I don't care about how big he is or small he is.
The question is how much money he'll take. I mean, I guess at
I
this
think
point,
with it
in
already
free
being this
agency,
late, not much.
No, not much. I would imagine maybe 1 year, $6 million. That's my guess.
Yeah, it works for me.
Would be it. So David Edwards would have eaten him. That's why it's Deion's. Okay. All right, let's do it. It looks like Deion has lost some weight, by the way, from the pictures and stuff I got. So that's or the ones I saw online. Which is nice.
I don't think I've seen any pictures of him recently, being honest, but I'm not surprised that he's losing some weight. I was kind of expecting him to. I think he probably kind of realized, like, with some of the lows he had last season. I think he's like, all right, I need to lock in a little bit more. I think maybe McDermott getting fired could have motivated the team a little bit. Like, all right, some changes are coming. I don't want to be out the door next.
Yeah, I do agree with that. All right, I'm just sharing it so people know we're in a mock draft now. All right, so how do you want to do it? You want to do a 32 pick? You and I are probably better at that than we are going 7 rounds deep. Because like we're probably 3 rounds, 4 rounds deep. Where Randall knows like player number 486, and it's like I don't even know what to say about that. I don't know how he has that much time on his hands.
The 7th round, I know. All right, let's take Trey Smack. Let's take a kicker.
Randall's
let me get my Florida guy. I need that Bills Gators pipeline to be influxed with more talent.
We're like, well, I'm going about 3 rounds deep, pretty good. I can break down the players. Randall's like, yeah, I'm only going 200 players into UDFAs, and like I'd like to get to 500 and get into the D3 players by next week. It's like crazy. That's funny. No deep knowledge or tips here for the appreciation of Dude Champions, the best, and love the Buffalo Bills. Thanks, Mark.
And maybe I should ask Randall if he wants me to videotape the Buff State games next year so we can break them down.
Yeah, he wants to break down the Buff State, not UB, Buff State. He'll come to Virginia and scout Hampton-Sydney College D3. All right. So do you want to do 1 or you want me to 2?
Do you want to do like 1 is just
You want to do trades?
I
can't. I'm fine with it. Let's say it has to be offered to us, and we can take it if we want to, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think pick 1s. We don't really have to.
No.
Not much love. The draft starts at pick 2.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you want to start with the Jets? You want to go what you would do, or what they would do? That's predictive. I don't like doing drafts and like what you would do. I'd like to do like we're predicting what will happen.
Yeah, the Jets.
Just tell me where you want me to go to, by the way, as I'm doing it, like in positions or whatever.
I mean, I feel like they're definitely going pass rush with the fact they just trade away Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
I just don't know which one they're going to go with. I would probably go Reese, just because I think they're going to want to shoot for upside.
Yep.
And a weaker class like this, where they need talent, they're probably going to be like, let's go and get that game changer. If we swing and miss, all right, we have a buttload of picks anyways. Hopefully we get at least a couple hits, but if we hit on him, it's Micah Parsons.
So we're getting trade offers from Bengals, Vikings, Panthers, Bears, Texans. I don't think the closest one's pick 10. I don't think the Cards will move that far. I think that we can see the Giants or the Commanders maybe move up. For maybe.
I also don't know why the Bengals would want to trade up. Who they're trading up for?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you wouldn't want to move that back that far. You're going to miss out on good talent. So I'm going to look at offensive tackle. And hold on, I've got my list here too. And what I think is, hold up, Cardinals. Yeah, let's go tackle, edge, and linebacker.
Okay.
Which is interesting because it's pretty high for a linebacker. But Sonny Styles is high on everyone's board now at this point because he ran like a, I don't know. He's
Yeah.
like a race car. He's fast. Man, I think that I think that they probably go defense here. I'm thinking David Bailey. That's what I'm gonna go with. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, especially with Josh Sweat just having that trade request. I don't know what happens with that.
Sure. Browns are offering pick 6 up to move it to 4. I don't know why the Browns would move up though, so I don't think that's a really a valid place to move. Go ahead. What position are you thinking?
Trying to think, maybe tackle.
Okay.
I don't know how they've been connected to the many tackles. I mean, I know their offensive line is pretty weak.
I've got them
at edge maybe, but they just traded for Jermaine Johnson, and then did they sign someone?
I got running back, linebacker, guard, and center as my top ones. I mean, honestly, tackle I guess could be on the board too. Depending on how you feel about.
I mean, I guess they paid Dan Moore, and then they drafted the guy out of Bama 2 years ago. So
and we said I think linebackers definitely.
And then they have Skoronski, so maybe it's more so interior offensive line for them.
That's too early for it though. I don't think I.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would think like maybe Love, Sonny Styles.
If we're being predictive, I think I'd go Love here just because I think they're going to want to give a playmaker to.
I think so too.
Cam Ward.
I think Love is going to go top 5. No.
And they could have been like, all right, Dable, this is what you did with Saquon. This is our Saquon.
Right.
I don't think he's that level of prospect, but like that's probably their thought process.
So I think receivers on the board for them, although I don't think the receiving core is that bad, but I think they want to give their dude something. I also think tackles on play here, and then linebacker and receiver.
They just gave Illuminor a 3-year deal.
I know. I just feel like they've got a problem with protecting Dart, but maybe Dart's problem is himself, not the line as much. Man, I'm thinking they're going to go Tate. They're going to give him another explosive weapon, and Tate's the most safe receiver in the draft, I think, and he's the easiest to project as a wide receiver too. I think that works best for them.
I think
Bengals want to move up, but they're not doing that. Good going.
Yeah, I think with the Browns, I think this just makes the most sense for them to sit and take. They're not going to draft defense. They're going to want to bolster that offensive line more.
Yep.
I think they kind of attacked the interior offensive line a decent amount when they went and got Titus Howard for that right tackle. They're looking for that left tackle. I think probably Maui Noah makes the most sense.
Well, Maui Noah is a right tackle his whole career, though. Would you think Monroe Feeling can move up enough to take that spot from him as a true left tackle? I mean,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because Maui Noah is just like right tackle forever in his career, which kind of tells me like, okay, do you think they can move him, or do they think they're moving the right tackle to left? I don't know.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think they're going to want to shoot for the upside of Freeland.
Yeah, and I think Freeland is not any. I don't think there's a massive difference between these two players that people try to make it out to be, because I think
Maui Noah is more polished, but Freeland has more upside for sure.
He's got long arms. He fits the profile of a left tackle, and I think the Browns are really kind of just a weird organization that does outside the box things all the time. They do. They just do weird stuff, and I think that would be weird enough for them to do. It's not even that weird, honestly. All right, so man, the question is, is it going to be? Are they getting Ayuk, right? Because I can see him going receiver here if they don't, right? You could go safety here as well. So the question is going to be: Are they interested in Ayuk for real? You know, is the Niners really going to give him up? You know,
I think they are. And the way it feels like with that Ayuk situation, the more and more I'm reading, feels like more so the Niners kind of did Ayuk dirty, and Ayuk's just like, all right, screw you, because like
it does.
Because basically he tried to rehab away from the facility, and then they hit something in his contract, or if they did that, could they just void all of his guarantees? And they're
Sure.
like, and yeah, maybe he didn't handle it great, but he's like, all right, if you're not going to pay me, then I'm gone. And then he
Right.
started acting cuckoo. And then I think the Niners kind of PR pushed it as he was the problem.
Yep.
But I think the Niners just kind of did him dirty.
And I think he
And
is
the
going to
fact
go
that
to
they haven't
Washington.
caught him, the fact that they haven't caught him yet makes me
Yeah.
think, like, I don't know what they're doing. And they've already said you're not playing. You're probably not playing for us anymore, but they haven't caught him yet. So
And I think
no idea
I
the
think
situation's gonna.
I think he'll end up in Washington at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to not overthink it. I think Caleb Downs has been overthought way too much in this draft and analyzed over the top, and he's probably the second, third best player in this draft. He might be the best player in the draft. So I want to go with him. Okay. So Saints, you're on the clock.
I think they did a good job in free agency of getting Shuck some more weapons, giving him the ETN, investing in the offensive line. I think that their secondary has got some young pieces, but I think that front seven was getting pretty old. They just lost to Mario Davis. I think they're going to need to youth it, or put some more youth into that defense, that front seven especially. And I think they'll just go Sonny Styles, best player.
Okay. I agree with that. All right. So now things get a little tricky.
For me, this is actually an easy pick, but
what would you do here then?
I'd go Delane.
Would you?
Yeah.
Draft another corner, huh? I could see them going edge, right tackle.
My thought
receiver,
for that is,
corner.
one, they desperately need a corner. Even if you like Noel Williams, you need a second corner anyways.
Mhm.
And I think the
Wayne,
corner
that's
drop
loaded.
off is much bigger than the tackle or edge drop off. I think like the
Wait.
tackles. I don't even think they really need tackle that like too much. I mean, they need it, but I think they at least have two starters, and then I think you're capable. My thought is, at edge you could get quality players. Maybe they're not the.
Would you move back
Spags
6
type.
spots? I've got a trade offer on the table. 15 to
Who
9.
is the offer?
It is Tampa Bay is offering 15.
Oh, because they probably want to trade up for Bane.
Yeah. And I think you can get like a decent haul here. Let's do that as our first trade. Just to
Yeah, they
play with
may
things.
be like, I really like Delane and McCoy.
And
I think one of them will be there at 15 because one of them gets taken by the Rams. But then they could also be scared of, what if the Dolphins and Rams take Delane and McCoy, and then who they gonna? Then again, they might just take Falk because Spags loves that type of pass rusher.
And I'm gonna give them 15, 77, and round 3 next year for 9.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
that sounds. And I think the Chiefs want more picks to kind of influx their roster that has been kind of getting priced and aged out.
Yep. Because I don't think they'll want to give up the round 2 pick, right? But giving up round 3 this year and next year in a better draft, I think is valuable at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go Ruben Bain. They're going up to get their guy. All right, cool. You're up with the Bengals. The Bungles.
This is interesting. Does Thieneman get some thought here?
Mhm.
They kind of brought in some veterans to fix the help with the D-line. There's no real linebackers you're going to take there. Their offensive tackles, I think, are a bit underrated. I think that Mims and Orlando Brown, I think, have been better than people thought. Their O-line still isn't great, but I think it's a little underrated. And I don't think they need interior more so. They need tackle, and there's no. Maybe they take
Ione,
Vega.
maybe, but
that defense is so bad. I
still needs more
would be
pieces.
surprised if they just were like, let's just get another piece of that defense.
I agree.
I think Thieneman,
Yeah.
even though it's not the.
You think
even though
over
it's
Delane over Thieneman over Delane?
Well, their boundary corners weren't brutal. That was probably the best part of their defense last year was their boundary corners. Granted, everything else was so bad. I think it kind of just looked better by association. It's like, oh, we'll just attack everything else. But
All right.
I think their boundary corner. Like, I forgot who their cornerback one was last year, but I think he played pretty decent.
Yeah. All right. So I'm choosing as a Dolphins team that needs 2 things like heavy doses. One is receiver, the other one's corner. They're the worst corner room in the NFL right now. Receiver though,
And they also have the worst wide receiver room.
without Waddle, it's definitely like the worst room in the NFL. So I think although I'm not as high on Mekhi Lemon. I think the league values him a lot, as especially with Tyson's injury, as the third best receiver in this draft, and just from like an easy button receiver. And I think he'd do well in Miami, being the weather and things like that. And then I could see Mansour Delane as well being the best corner in this draft by far, in a bad corner draft, right? So I could see them doing that. The simple fact that, like, who they're going to get later on, it's going to be a huge drop off there, and they probably value having the corner there on the roster. And there's better receivers deep, so I'm going to go corner. I think. Do you have any problem with that?
No, that's my exact thought process.
Okay.
That, like, they really need both, and the wide receivers they can get at 30 are much better than the corners they can get at 30.
Absolutely. All right, so we're on Cowboys now. A lot of offensive line needed: right tackle, left guard, edge, linebacker, safeties. Who I got them kind of pegged for.
You don't have a corner? So boundary corner.
Oh,
suck.
Sorry, yeah, I'm corner as well. Although I think it's less of a need than like Francis Margot is here right now, right? That would, to me, be an ideal fit because they do have a right tackle need, in my opinion. But
I think
it's hard to say.
I think my thought is their offensive line was pretty decent. Their offense was elite last year.
Okay.
And they've put a lot of assets into fixing that pass rush and that front seven, but that secondary is brutal.
All right.
And
so not safety then, I would imagine, right? Because
I just don't think there's any state. Yeah. I think McCoy just makes a lot of sense here.
Okay.
Because that just seems like a Jerry Jones pick. I think he's taking the risk on McCoy because of the upside. I mean, he's done it before and it's worked out. Like Micah, there was a lot of risk there, and boy, did that work out. Trading for Pickens, there was some risk, and that seemed to work out pretty well. I think sometimes Jerry Jones is kind of like, he kind of doesn't really look at those outside factors as much, like the health or the fit or the personality. Is like, how good of a football player are you? And it seems to work out pretty well. As much as Jerry Jones has his issues, he is usually a very good drafter.
Yeah, outside
especially
of
in the first round.
Outside of Mozzie.
He's had some bad ones, but I mean, Micah, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Booker last year.
He's very good.
And I mean, those are just the three that came to my mind, but obviously there's more. But
so you're thinking corner here more so than anything else?
Well, they did.
I'm sorry, you already went. Sorry, you just went. Sorry.
Yeah, and the fact that they basically took Kansas City's top two corners. I think, is this your pick or is this mine?
Yeah, it's me now. So I would upgrade. Sorry, I'm using my finger on my touch screen because they don't have a great movable thing here. And then, I know you don't think right tackle is that big of a need for them, but I still think it's a need.
Well, my thought was I just thought corner was such a massive need before they had traded for McDuffie. Yeah, before they traded for McDuffie and Jalen Watson, I'm like, and I'm like with McCoy and Delane, I'm like, those are such plug and play guys. I'm like, and I think they're the level of prospect is like Maui Noah. You can make an argument maybe even better.
Would you take Lemon here for the Rams? They've been talking about receiver, and he'd be another like. You wouldn't have to travel. It'd still be in LA.
The reason I wouldn't is because they already have a better version of Lemon. Sure. I think more so they're looking for the Devontae Adams replacement. They're kind of looking for more of a bound. Like if you draft Lemon, you're kind of forcing Puka to the outside more, which he can win on the outside, but that's not why he's as good as he is. It's not because he's slowly winning the outside. It's because you can line him up anywhere and you can do a lot of things with him. You're kind of limiting Puka's ability if you draft Lemon.
You're kind of eating.
I could see them drafting Tyson though, because they'd be like, we can deal with your injury concerns right now because like we have Adams and look into the future.
Wait, I'm going to do that. And they don't really have any like major what I would call like danger zone needs that you have to like fill tomorrow. And the line, I think it's too early for. I know C.J. Allen's falling on people's boards a little bit, but it's too early for the next set of linebackers, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe this. I do doubt. I have this doubt in my head that Tyson falls any further than like the top 15. People say that he might go to us. I think that's like fool's gold. I don't think that happens.
Yeah. But also like, yes, I think it's I mean, it's your pick. Receiver? I was just going to say Tyson or Maui Noah would be my guess for it, and it's your pick.
I'm going to go Maui Noah. I'm just doing it. I think it's too late for him. I think it's right in the range where he's going to go. Now you're up Ravens.
And I think McVay. I think we just go Vega.
I agree.
It's you lost so much in that offensive line,
and they replaced it with
you
Simpson.
Yeah,
like one player that isn't very good.
You put Simpson at right guard and Vega at left guard, and
to me that's All right, so corner's kind of out, I think, at this tier, but let's look. They did turn a player that was a slot corner into their primary corner though back, and he's roughly the similar size to McDuffie. He fit well, but then I think receivers bigger need than they let on. What we got for edge though?
Yeah, I was gonna say this kind of seems like a Spags edge pick.
So man, I just feel like look at these edges are just this is a weird place in the draft to get an edge because I feel like the drop off here is real. Like these guys are kind of I don't know, good.
I was just saying if we're being predictive, I think it'd be Falk because that's the most Spags edge out there. That's a McDermott type of edge also. The edge setting run defender, not super productive as a pass rusher.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, I would hope the Chiefs would take him because him on one side and Karlaftis on the other, it's like you don't have anyone that could consistently get to the passer.
That's true. Yeah.
But they also have Chris Jones, and if you have him up the middle and those two containing, it's like that could also be pretty scary. But it looks like Chris Jones is kind of fallen down some.
This is an interesting part of the draft for you, the Jets. I mean, you do have a trade offer from the Bills from 26 to up. I doubt that's
happening. What are we trading up for? 11?
Well, we would trade them. I would imagine. Yeah, we're trading up for like
Tyson or Lemon.
Well, Tyson would be the trade up here.
Yeah,
but I just don't think that they're going to do that. I think they are going to want more picks. So we're going to bail on that. Do you take the quarterback here?
No.
Okay.
I think you wait.
He's going in first round though.
I think this could be a good fit for Lemon. You have your X receiver in Garrett Wilson. You have your Z receiver and Adonai Mitchell. I know you're not the biggest fan, but I think that's probably where they want to play him. Sure. You don't really have a slot guy, and they probably want to add more assets. And the defensive value just isn't really there right now. I mean, granted, their defense needs a lot, but I think they want to make their. I think the problems in the past with their quarterbacks is they just give them nothing to work with. And it's, no wonder that Sam Darnold sucked. His offensive line was terrible and his wide receivers sucked.
Right.
Like, they tried to give him they tried to build it through free agency. I think here they want to build more things through the draft and they have a decent offensive line. They're keeping Breece Hall around. I don't know if they're going to extend him or not. They have Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor. Like if they get like a Lemon, that could, and they'll still probably suck next year because their quarterback play and defense will be awful. But I think a Lemon could actually be, that would be a pretty positive looking QB situation, especially since Glenn's probably fired after this year when they suck again. And then they'll probably get whoever ends up being the top offensive guy in this class, like Davis Webbs or Udinsky or Shieldhouse. Probably one of those three is probably the leading head coach guy offensive minds for next year, as they were getting a lot of looks this year. And you pair one of them with Arch Manning or Dante Moore or the guy from
such a bad spot.
The car from Notre Dame. I don't think they're in.
Well, here's the problem: they're in a catch-22. They got a coach that sucked. They should have never hired. That needs to win in order to keep his job. So if that happens, you're screwed on the quarterback market. If he ends up sucking, you have to start over with a new coach next year as well, and they end up being really bad. So to me, it's like a weird catch-22. Like I would prefer to lose Glenn and get the quarterback, but I don't know if they feel that way. You know?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think Lemon's. You go with Lemon.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Lemon.
So yeah, I think that's probably a good fit. He's a good fit in what they want to do. All right, so they have an obvious need at tackle, right? Oh, man, Spencer Fano, the arms, man, the size, it's just all bothersome to me. I don't know if I would do any of that. I think they have an edge need as well as kind of on the other side, right?
Could they draft Sadiq and trade Laporta?
Oh man, that's a lot of thinking about different dynamics of how they could roster construct. Let's assume Laporta's staying.
Okay, because I know they've been fielding calls or whatever because the extension issues.
I'm not going there.
I was just putting it as a thought out there.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. there's no tackles in free agency that they're going to attack that's going to do anything what they have with Decker. Decker's a great player. I think they're going to want to. This is what I think they want to do. They're going to move Sewell to their left because that's where he played in college, right? Maybe he played right. I don't know. But that was the idea. And he's a freak. He can do both. And then you get a guy like Spencer Fano, I think, in the first round, and you just kind of roll the dice. They need it. And I think edge. They can get a pass rushing edge in round 2. At this point, these guys are all kind of similar. Like they're kind of deficiencies. Not a great edge group, in my opinion. It's okay. A lot of upside with some guys, but that's pretty much all I see there. All right, go ahead, Vikings.
I think they're going to look to try and replace the nose tackle. They just cut Jonathan Allen and Hargrave, and they just kind of depleted their defensive line. I think they're going to probably want to replenish that because there's no centers worth taking here, no safeties, no running backs.
Edge?
If they trade Gennard, but I think they might just end up keeping them. Yeah. And then I think also
what was the other one?
Why can't I think of their defensive coordinator? I'm blanking on his name right now.
Right.
Who's the Vikings defensive coordinator? Flores.
Flores.
I was blanking on his name.
Yeah.
I think Flores is one of those that he kind of just can get pressure from a lot of different places and uses exotic blitzes where you don't need to invest super heavily into edge to be able to get pressure.
Yeah. And Cade McDonald's here. I don't know. Do you think there's other players? I don't know. What do you think?
I was probably going to go with Cade McDonald.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, he the best
play
nose.
that zero tech off the center a bit.
Awesome against the run. He's awesome against the run too.
And that's the Vikings' defensive weakness is their run defenses.
Yeah, really. I mean, they just need a guy to hold up when they're when they're blitzing.
They tried to just throw money at Jonathan Allen and Hargrave, and they just cut both of them. So they really needed someone there.
I think that they have the Panthers have a ton of needs.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't feel like I think they've. What do I have on my list here? Unless they've signed anyone new since last week, I created my own thing here. I've got tackle, tight end, corner, safety, D tackle. You don't think so?
I don't think they need D tackle.
Okay, safety. Emmanuel McNeil Warren's a possibility. What about tight end?
Tight end could, but I think they have a bit of an underrated room that they get some good usage out of. They could look to get another weapon for Bryce Young. I would think that they're going to want to get another weapon for him because they put a lot of money into the defense. So I think they may look to draft offense.
Yeah,
so deep makes a lot of sense.
I think so too because I think that their receiver need that they have is kind of absurd. Like they just been drafting dudes every single year in the first round, and now they still need one. Like why can't we operate like that? Can't we be the Panthers, bro? Yeah, I'm gonna go Sadiq.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for them getting Tat McMillan at pick 9, the receiving core would be terrible. So
yeah.
I like Coker, but if he's your receiver one,
Legette's supposed to be a player. Not for me.
He's about as Keon might be better than him.
Yeah,
just not saying much.
That's close. All right, so who did you get the first time here? You have McCoy. Okay, so what are you thinking here for Dallas again?
CJ Allen.
I kind of agree. They need thick, big dudes in the middle. They don't have anybody.
Yeah,
all their linebackers are 210.
I think if they add a McCoy, because they signed PJ Locke to be one of their safeties, which isn't great, but he's better than what they had. And I think their safety room is gotten a bit better. They get a boundary corner, they get a linebacker to fix that terrible linebacking room. With how good that D line is probably going to be, it could be a top 10 unit next year. Sure. I think that's not unrealistic. I mean, Quinton Williams and Kenny Clark is an elite defensive tackle duo, and I think Gary and Azaraku, I think he showed a lot of flashes, and I think that Gary, you're good to get 8-ish sacks a year out of him and some decent pressure. He's not fully lived up to that contract, but he's a decent that's 4 guys that you can get legitimate pressure from and can all win. So I think their front 4 is going to be good, but right now outside of their front 4 is weak. So McCoy and a CJ Allen first round, and Dallas's defense is really working on the up. Yeah, it's not going to be historically bad. Maybe maybe next year won't be top 10, but by 2027, 2028, it could be pretty good.
I heard they like TJ Parker a lot too, but I don't know.
For me, that wouldn't just wouldn't make a lot of sense after you just traded to take on Gary's big contract and you drafted Ezraku at the start of the second with how gaping of needs the rest of your defense is. Investing that much more in the offensive line just kind of seems foolish.
Yeah. My two main needs, well, three really for Pittsburgh, are interior offensive line, linebacker, and actually quarterback. But I just don't know if they're going to take a stab at him. I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers is coming back.
Yeah, or personally, if I was them, I would legitimately go trade for Anthony Richardson or just start Will Howard all year, and then either you find a diamond in a rough with them, or they suck and you get a quarterback next year.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh just won't do that. I just will never understand why owners. I get they're just trying to always make money. Why they aren't fine with just biting the bullet for a year or two to make their team immensely better instead of being stuck in no man's land. Like, because even if Pittsburgh was terrible next year, they probably sell it every game. Pittsburgh's a huge football market. The owner's not going to lose money just because they suck for 2 years and get a quarterback.
All right, so let's give them some protection.
But they're not doing that.
Let's do protection. I think this is a spot where I'm more of a Basontis guy than I'm Pregnon, but Pregnon has kind of got a little bit of, I think, momentum right now. So I think I'm going to go Pregnon here.
Yeah, I've been seeing some mocks where they have us taking a guard at 26, and it made me want to vomit.
That's not happening, dude. Yeah. All right. So there's no trade offers. I think this is where so just to be predictive here, I think Ty Simpson goes in the first round. I think he has enough heat on him right now that it's going to happen. I think this is the range. I'm not saying that it'll happen right here. I'm just saying in general, I think that this is probably the ballpark where it starts for him, for people moving in from round 2. If I had to guess, what are your thoughts?
Interesting. I would think it would be more like picks 29 through 32.
It could be.
Personally,
it could. I'm saying I think it
it'll
starts
be
here.
like kind of. Yeah, but I think that teams are thinking no one's going to want to trade up that much because they're probably going to have to give up next year's picks for it. They're not going to want to do that. And they're like, no one in this range is probably going to take a quarterback. I mean, maybe the Browns, but the Browns would be pretty stupid too. After them taking 2 last year, even though I think they both suck, you at least have to try them out again before you attempt to replace them. And obviously the Chargers, Philly, us, the Niners, the Bears, stuff like that, we're not taking quarterback. Miami at 30, I think, is where people are going to want to jump.
And that's what I'm saying. So I think we're going to start seeing people maybe want to leapfrog, maybe even to Buffalo's pick. We're going to pick Buffalo's pick today. But when you jump, would be over the guys in the front end of the second round and Miami at the back of the first round would be where they would probably do it. I don't know if Miami does it when they just pay Malik Willis $24 million a year. I know that's not a high-end contract, but it's a lot of money with 2 quarterbacks in the roster, So I don't know. That's kind of my thought process on it. Like, I think they'd want to jump Miami, and I think that maybe the Niners will be a good spot, like that kind of ballpark kind of seems like good. But anyway, let's go to the Chargers. We'll get to that when we get to it.
Jordan Tyson, and you're running to the podium as fast as you're calling in as quick as you can to make that pick.
You think so? With the receiver,
they need another boundary receiver. Lad's not a slot only guy, but he's at his best in the slot.
Yeah, he's a Z receiver that's better in the slot than anywhere else. Honestly.
Yeah, and then Quentin Johnson showed a decent amount of flash. I think he's developed into a good deep threat, but he can't be your number one everyday boundary wide receiver. He's just too inconsistent.
No.
And then Trey Harris just wasn't as good as I thought. I really liked Trey Harris last year. Thought he was somebody who could beat man coverage, and he really struggled to separate last year. I think
surprised.
He just kind of is going to stay at the wide receiver 4. He was not impressive at all. So I think
maybe turn into Palmer. That's the way I felt like.
Yeah.
He might be a Josh Palmer one day.
Exactly. And then I think you're Mike McDaniel, and you saw how well, granted theirs was a speed base, but you saw how well you give a quarterback 2 elite weapons and you'll be able to do a lot of things with it. They have the running back. You go and fill out that wide receiver room, and Tyson's easy, also the best player on the board at that point.
So I think the edge, safety, and wide receiver are the odds on favorite here. I think AJ Brown's probably getting traded. What do you think?
I think he probably stays. Because I think based on Waddle's trade and then apparently the Rams be concerned about the knee, I don't think anyone's going to offer enough for the Eagles to trade it this year for the dead cap they're going to have to take on.
Okay.
I get there's talk about New England. I see New England's like, oh, well, they're going to have to pay the dead cap tax, and we're going to get them for a second and third on post-shoot.
That's delusional. That's delusional. Yeah. They're stupid.
Yeah.
All right, let's go edge and safety here. Man, the Eagles just pick good players. They know what they're looking at. I think Akeem Messidor, even though he's old, he's a good player. I think if he was 21 years old, we'd see him in the top 15 no matter what.
But he was doing this at 25.
Exactly.
I also can see, like, last year, this is your pick, but just my quick thought was last year they took Jihad Campbell in the first round.
Jihad.
How he's not afraid to invest heavily into non-premium positions.
Sure.
You see, he paid a center, he paid a guard, he paid Saquon. He took a linebacker first round last year. I could see them going, let's replace Reed Blankenship with
the Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
But also Mazador also makes sense if you want to go with him too.
Yeah, I think that maybe there's more runway with EMW. I think he's also very, very I think he fits perfecly as a plus version of Reed Blankenship and what they want to do.
Him and DeJean would be a very fun and interesting safety duo. They could have a lot of fun with that.
Absolutely. All right, so Browns. It's on you, man. What are you thinking? What did we get the first time?
Probably wide receiver.
We got Monroe Frayling. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think receiver is on here. All right, so they've got Judy.
Yeah.
They've got what's the dude's name? The guy
Isaiah Bond.
They need physicality. And so this is where I think we start talking about whether you want physicality in the form of Omar Cooper Jr. or in the form of Denzel Boston or Chris Bell.
I was thinking it was going to be Boston just because I feel like Cooper and KC just feel a little more similar to Judy.
Sure. I don't think it's KC. Right.
Yeah,
I think KC's way too similar to Judy. I think Cooper is a little bit more like AJ Brown light with a little more speed. But he's not like a catch point guy either, right? So he's a route runner too. Denzel does feel like the pick, or Art Bell, I'm not Art Bell. That's Coast to Coast AM, baby. Chris Bell.
Yeah, I think it would be Boston just because of the ACL injury. I think they're going to want people who can play right away.
So this is where I think the Bears have invested a lot of money in free agency.
Yes.
I could see a trade coming in here. Right? Let me see what we got. Let me just look and see where everybody has. Buffalo's not.
No one offered them trades.
Who needs a quarterback? All right.
Well, the thing is, you know what? They have 0 trade offers.
I know there's none, but I can force the trade with premium. I just think if we're being predictive, it's going to happen. I think the Bears have gotten down to a very few needs. And this could be the prime spot to do it. What are your thoughts before I do it? I don't want you to
the only reason I wouldn't think it is because they picked up our second. It's like, do they really want to trade down when they already have an extra second? Unless they're getting picks for next year. Unless they're trying to load up on picks for next year.
I don't see Arizona's the only one I see.
Do they really want to get more date?
Yeah. I'm thinking next year stuff more than anything else. Yeah. That's kind of my thought process. Is they would get like.
You good?
Yeah, you're good. Can you hear me? You good? I lost you.
Hello?
There? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi. I can hear you. Yeah, my Wi-Fi cut out.
All right, cool. What do you think?
If you want to trade out, that's fine. I just think just because of them having pick 60 from us, I don't think they want to. But I also understand your reasoning is because they did spend a lot of money. But they did lose DJ Moore and Tremaine Edmonds. Those are 2 quality starters, so they kind of were just replacing them.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to go wide receiver or anything. I don't think they're going to. Any asset they put in first round would be defense, I think.
All right, I'm going to make a trade. I'm going to get Arizona to move up with the Bears. 34, 104, and because it's going to take more
Maybe
than that. Next
there was
year's
second.
round 2. Yes.
Because they're trading up for a quarterback, so it's going to cost more. The quarterback tax, because they're trading up for Simpson, I'm assuming.
Yep, Simpson. And they're moving up. They're in a dome. They're in the South. I think it's a good spot for him. Invest in it now. You don't want to keep tanking your seasons away. There's a bad quarterback. You don't want to pick in the top 5 again. I think he's getting a little heat. I think it's going to be a good scenario for him in that spot. And I think they want to overleap Miami potentially, because I think Miami there's a possibility they could do it. So they'll offer 34-104 this year, and next year's second rounder for a pick. Normally that would cost a second for a quarterback tax to be a second rounder for sure. It will cost them.
Yeah, LaFleur, I think there's the LaFleur tax, or not the LaFleur. I meant to say LaFleur is the head coach. There's a Mike LaFleur, so there's the system fit. I don't know. I was getting my words jumbled up in my head.
The LaFleur system fit is real there. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So if we were, the Dolphins are offering a trade, but we're not doing that. Unless, you want to take 30? 30. That's not. I mean,
do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, 30 for 26. They need to give us. They have 75. 80, we get them. I think that's the spot. 87, and that way we pick up another day 2 pick. It's a late third. I think that's the right value for where they want to go for spots. Thoughts?
Okay. I was gonna throw in like 182 or something, or maybe 90 we throw in.
I don't think we have to in this case, and that's a lot they're already giving up to move. I mean, it's probably more like a 4th round value for 4 spots. I think like a early 4th.
Yeah.
So that is true. They're giving up a lot. Maybe we throw one
PFF
back.
has it a 75% chance.
Let's do that. We'll throw 182 back. We'll throw 182 because I think that you're right. I think that they need a little sweetener there.
Yeah.
And we'll take it. All right. Miami's on the board. They just took Messidor.
Or Delane.
Sorry. Yeah.
And they want wide receiver.
I would think so as well. Now we get to this, do they want to replace Waddle with a Waddle?
I think they're just looking at BP, just best wide receiver out there.
Concepcion probably may be in their eyes. You know what I mean?
I think it would be Concepcion also. I'm just saying, I don't think they're trying to be we just trade away Waddle. We have to now and get Waddle. I think let's just get the best player.
Sure. And it's nice. It's a seamless kind of fit. What's his name? Their offensive coordinator, which I can't place right now. All right, so you're up, San Francisco, right? Yeah. I got tackle, guard, edge, and safety for them is what I would do. But
so does PFF.
Oh, really? Okay, sorry. I flipped my screen off. I'm not looking at the screen. I've got a Excel worksheet on the back end that I was looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it ended up lining up good. So I have not been right on with PFF every single time, but I don't know.
I don't think they'd want to. Personally, I don't think they go edge round one with Bosa and Mykal Williams.
Sure.
They just invested
just
edge.
Did that.
Yeah.
What do you think they need? I mean, do you have any other ideas? I don't think there's going to be any
safety here. Offensive line, wide receiver would also make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's they have Mike Evans on base. It's a 3-year, but it's basically a 1 year, and then Ricky Pearsall.
Cooper's perfect for their scheme too.
Yeah.
They don't have Debo anymore. He's definitely a San Francisco fit. Let's go. Let's do that.
Because especially I think Kyle Shanahan and the McVay system, their scheme is so O-line friendly that they feel that they can get good value, and they usually do on a later round offensive lineman. So I think they probably do. They probably look at that, and they want to replace Ayuk, and they have Pearsall, who can't stay healthy. He showed flashes, but can't stay healthy. And then,
so I
Mike
think
Evans is old.
I do think that the Texans could use a running back, but there's none in the vicinity here.
No, let him go take Jadarian Price at 28.
I think Peter Woods would be a good selection here, just as far as value goes.
God.
I know they want to bring heat. I know, but we got to do what we think they'll do. You can't just
if they do that, I might just cry watching them play. Oh my God.
Yeah, let's do that
stuff. They added Roger Goodell, and please stop. If they try to do that, just be like, no.
No, that's an illegal move.
Yeah.
Flag
This
on the
is
play.
unfair to opposing offenses. You're not allowed to do this.
Exactly. All right, Chiefs took Keldrick Falk.
What I would really want to see, though, is in practice how badly their defensive line would obliterate that offensive line.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It's like
their
the,
offensive line's awful.
hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby.
They keep patching the offensive line up with things that just they just keep getting worse there, I feel like, and they pretend like they're getting better.
And then they get like one good guy. They're like, our idea to get better is to trade our only good guy.
Exactly. We got edge for them first with Falk. We got, I think, right tackles there, receivers there. They got a lot of needs, man.
This is Terrell's spot. I mean, they do need boundary or slot corner.
Yeah. And I think that they probably think they can do the same thing with him that they did with McDuffie at the end of the day. So, all right, this is a joint pick. This is the Bills. All right, 3 picks left. If this is our board, we're looking to trade out, correct?
Yeah.
We're not doing that here. But I'm saying in general, like, I don't like really what I'm seeing here with any of it. Now, I like guys like, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Like Derek Moore. I love Derek Moore, guys like that. But I just don't think that it's too early for that. Receiver even, like, just wait at that point, right? I mean,
well, my thought is let's say we hypothetically do trade out, but we don't actually trade out. Let's take someone that we would take around that trade out spot.
Oh, yeah, we're going to draft, right?
Yeah, but let's say hypothetically
like,
this is pick 30, but let's pretend that it's pick 38 because we traded out.
Asterisk. Yeah. So I'll say this. With trades, my ideal spot would be 43 with New Orleans, 42 with New Orleans. That if we did it.
Mine would probably be like 36 with is that maybe the Giants
Raiders.
or
that's the Raiders.
Yeah, the Cardinals, like in that range, like early second. And then I just go Chris Bell.
So you wouldn't get 67 back in that deal. You'd probably get 36 and 102, and then maybe another late round pick.
Well, that's where I would give up 36. I would give up 36 and 126. I give up 30 and 126 for 36 and 6 for 36 and 67.
Yeah, there's no quarterback tax in this one, though. I don't know if that would get it done either. It's a second round, right? The 67's an early third or a second? That's an early third.
An early third.
Yeah. It'd be close. Yeah, I think that's probably close. Okay, so we'd move back 6. Let's say we move back 6 spots.
Maybe throw in our 5th next year because we're getting a 5th for David Edwards if you wanted to sweeten it up a little bit. But.
Sure. Yeah, that's probably right. Okay, so I was thinking 67 was a second rounder. My math was off. All right. So if we did that, we're still looking at the same group of players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Essentially. So it probably won't fall out of the box too much. Now, I'm actually – what receivers are here? Hold on.
Chris Bell.
Bell. Yeah. It's Bell or Brazel here, and I don't know if that's – I don't know if I'd do either one, but if I'm going to do one, I might do Bell for the upside, right? Because Brazel for me is still a mid-second round pick, Bell,
why wouldn't you do Bell at 36 though if his knee's coming back clean?
I would be fine with it. I would love it actually. If it just bothers me that he might not play. Like there's an outside chance here that he doesn't play to the playoffs. I'm not saying that'll happen, but
okay, that doesn't really bother me too much because we're going to be fine in the regular season regardless. Like
we're doing Chris Bell.
Like if he doesn't play the entire regular season, it might be a little annoying, but we're going to still make the playoffs. Decent chance we still probably win the division. And now we get a nice boost for the playoffs, and we get them for the years to come.
Yep, and I think that's why we have to we have to do it on a trade back because then we get that extra pick out of it too, right? And then I think we'd feel a little bit better about it if we do that. So we picked up a pick out of it.
Yeah. If we took him at 26, I wouldn't be upset because it's like, all right, they like him. Like, I really like him too. They're not too worried about the knee. They think he'll be able to. But, yeah, I would like to trade back because it's like, all right, we're getting some good day 2 we're increasing our day 2 picks that we can also get some other pro-ready guys that can help us year 1 to kind of make up for the fact that he might not be super effective out the gate.
Right. This is an interesting one. I think if they were smart, if this was a good tackle draft, they'd replace their tackle. But I'm so glad it's not. I'm so glad that they're going to be stuck with their tackle for another year who can't block anybody because he has T-Rex arm. So, I do think that they're going to try to hedge the bet, though. What do you think? Like, take a massive man like Caden Proctor, right, and say, "Hey, you're going to play guard and tackle. In the meantime, we're going to put you wherever you're best."
Well, my thought is that they kind of already have. They got a guard. They've already signed some offensive linemen.
Okay.
I think they're probably not going to look to go offensive linemen early in this draft.
Now
I think
they got to replace Tonga.
Yeah, but they have Barmore and Milton Williams.
Yeah, but neither one of them. Well, I guess Barmore can do what he does. I've heard Barmore is potentially in the trade block too. That's another story. What about receiver?
I think if they're going to go
AJ Brown,
edge also makes a lot of sense. This could be a Mesidor pick.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, I think edge actually makes a lot of sense actually, because they really don't have anyone who rushes the passer worth. I mean, they picked
Draymond
up.
Jones isn't going to move the needle that much. They lost Chase on, so they're going from Jones to Chase on. That might be a downgrade.
It is a downgrade in the pass rush department. I hope that they think that that's an upgrade and they don't do anything else. That'd be great. I feel like they've been doing dumb things since they started. I think the Patriots are the most overrated offseason so far.
I do like the Vera Tucker signing. I think Vera Tucker's pretty good.
But he's injured all the time.
Yeah, but when he's healthy, I think he's good and he moves. The guy that's playing guard to center, which he should be playing, like that. Mm-hmm. That is a good improvement. And I think Dobbs isn't bad value, but I think going from Chase on to Jones is a downgrade. Their offensive line pickup's risky. Going from Diggs to Dobbs is a downgrade.
Sure.
What else? And they lost Tonga.
Yep.
What else have they really done? I like Byard. I think Byard's a good pickup, but like their defense is probably staying about the same because I think losing Tonga and Chase on and getting Jones and Byard's lateral at best, and their offensive line improves if Vera Tucker stays healthy, but the receiving core is worse. Yeah,
because Dobbs at best at his and if Dobbs hits his the tier that like his ceiling basically, right?
Yeah, it's what Diggs was last year.
He's Diggs.
Yeah,
I mean that's if he does that. Right. And I think he has potential to do what Diggs did last year. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's any better than that.
Dude, we haven't seen him do it either.
Yeah, it's the same kind of player, And then Mac Hollins another year older, he's starting for him. So I think
Kyle Williams' improvement could give him some juice and I like Booty, but
sure.
Like their young guys stepping up could make them improve some, but I don't think their team is really much better after free agency. It's kind of lateral moves.
Yeah, I'd say lateral at best. Yeah, it's not like we did when we got rid of Bosa, who ended up not being a good pass rusher, for a guy who is clearly an upgrade in the pass rush department. Bradley,
he was better last year coming off a torn ACL. He was better his last couple of years.
He's been better than Bosa in the years
since
he's played.
2021.
Yeah, exactly. 4 years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so, it's not like crazy.
Yeah, Chubb in Miami was much better than Bosa's last couple of years in LA. And then DJ Moore is a clear upgrade over everything we else said.
And the safety position is clearly upgraded. You can
Bengals fans can laugh us all they want for Geno Stone's mistakes, and he's made a lot of them. I'm telling you right now, that is an upgrade over DeMar Hamlin. And I keep trying to tell that, and they're like, it's not. I'm like,
he's had no ability to ball hawk at all.
Yes.
He does nothing in coverage for you.
And then
he's a hard hitter, but he's small.
DJ Gardner Johnson is a clear upgrade over Rapp and Poyer. There's no way you can argue around that. The only concern there is the head case stuff.
Yeah, and I think
if you have to go to Geno Stone or a rookie, you have to go. It's still probably enough. Rapp was so bad that teams were laughing at us last year watching him play.
Yeah,
they're like, "Wow, this dude is so awful." And then Poyer came in and steadied the ship, but not like he was great. It was just it went from insanely bad to safe
to baseline. He helped basically what he did was he solidified the communication and the leadership in the room. And he allowed the communication to be fluid on the field, which helped them play faster, even though he was, he's one leg basically and slow.
Yeah.
All right, last pick. Jude, what'd you do here?
I'm trying to think. I don't think they really need to go off of the line. I mean, actually they could, but I don't know. Did they lose Anthony Bradford?
Edge, tight end,
guard can make
corner.
Some sense. No, I don't think they'll go tight end because they like Aurora and
what corner?
Who's there? And Barner. corner could make sense because like who is their quarterback too?
Yeah, and then and I think edge is a possibility. I know they did fine last year, but having someone who can provide, more production, I should say, instead of like he'd be part of that unit that gets pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a TJ Parker makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I do too. All right, you want to do that?
Zion Young, one of them. Yeah, but I think TJ Parker is probably the best pass rusher out of them. Yeah, I think Zion Young is more of an every down, but I think they're looking for a pass rusher only.
All right. Well, I'll post this online for people to see. Man, we get 2 hours, so I'm not even gonna be in the backstage when I'm done. I'm just getting out of here.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate y'all being here, and we will see you next Monday.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sports book of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.